mortal. You dare summon me again? Have your pathetic lives not been extended long enough by my gift?
As a back-of-the-box premise, romancing demons doesn't seem like the best marketing direction, but it definitely worked for Sucker of Love First Date. Although brief, the game presented a fun point-and-click experience where players would essentially romance summoned creatures. It spawned a desire amongst the adventure visual novel community, a thirst that can only be quenched by more horrific hotties, and developer Akabaka is here to fill our bellies with the sacrifice of their time, and probably sanity, to summon up new stories of romanceable baddies in Sucker of Love, Date to Die For.
Taking me as your partner?
You thought the two definitions of partners that a fertility goddess was referring to the platonic meaning?
Sucker for Love Date to Die For is set in Sacramento, a city that is under a strange curse and overrun with cultists. You've arrived after a letter from your missing parents instructs you to return to your childhood home. Things go from mysterious to life-threatening rather quickly as cultists chase you down to your doorstep. It's here you look for answers, and a strange book holds these steps needed to survive and hopefully escape. After setting up a ritual, you mouth the words to a spell and summon the god of lust, Roxanne. You then learn about her hold over the woods around the city and what is driving the cultists to insanity. However, given the game can be completed in about 6 hours, I won't spoil other aspects of this adventure, but the narrative does a great job of spoon-feeding you all the necessary information without really requiring you to read too much between the lines. While you make choices throughout the game, it's pretty clear how to reach the true ending of each chapter up until the final 2 scenes, which require a bit more exploration. Each chapter has a beginning, middle, and end, but they each begin similarly. Again, I don't want to spoil the reasons as to why. Getting the true ending is required to progress to the next chapter, but frequent save points and a helpful timeline allows you to jump to various scenes and get on additional story branches. It's clear that the developers didn't want to make progression overly skill-based. Still, there are a few late-game puzzles that will require an understanding of the basic point-and-click systems to reach a specific ending. As you progress through the game, you'll be given instructions on items needed to set up the next ritual. The game has several different means of interaction. Firstly, there's a 360-degree camera to view the entire room and move throughout the house. Next, points of interest are highlighted, so nothing is difficult to see, but not all items will be required in each chapter. You'll need to interact with the door every time you move to a new room. While this is initially pretty speedy, you'll soon learn that you'll need to pace yourself in case a cultist or other entity is on the other side of the door. It's a pretty fun system that doesn't harm the pacing. Instead, I would say that it added more tension to moving through the house, and it was pretty necessary. See, the house is pretty big, but a map will always let you know where you need to be. With that said, I would say the game gets a bit tougher on the later chapters, but there's a natural evolution of puzzle difficulty and navigation that kind of mitigates that. I was never stuck or confused about where to go next. I say this as a kind of a good thing because if you're playing this game, you're likely only trying to get through it as fast as possible, if only to get closer to Roxanne, and you will in due time. On that note, the illustrations and CGs add a level of retro anime aesthetic to the game, accentuated by the anime intermissions between chapters. As for horror elements, jump scares are present here, but you can turn on a warning option if you want. They are all pretty clever, and some require quick reactions, but none of these nightmares will get in the way of the fire that was growing in my chest to see all Roxanne brings to the table. God of Lust or not, nothing would stand in my way. I enjoyed that the writing never really took itself seriously, but that doesn't diminish its quality. The world here has depth, immersing players in a horrific yet charming environment. Sucker for Love Date to Die For is the perfect way to spend an evening. It's nightmarishly sexy in so many ways that you often forget you're dealing with an occult and other dangers. While the narrative often goes out of its way to ensure that you know and understand everything about it, the result often feels like you're gaining everything without putting in the work. Luckily for you and anyone who plays, it means you'll see the truest ending with only a bit of effort to get closer to your demon queen. Honestly, I might be under her spell as we speak. Noisy Pixel is giving Sucker for Love Date to Die For an 8 out of 10. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. Check out our Patreon to help support our continued growth, and subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Noisy Pixel.